All right, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host, Chuck Stevenson, coming at you tonight with a fight review. So we're going to Denver, Colorado for one fight night 10. We're going to the one Atomweight 115-pound division. Stamp Fairtex coming in at 9-2, taking on Alyse Anderson coming in at 6-2. It was one championship's big U.S. debut, so of course they brought, Stamp along, and of course they put her in against their, the lone American female fighter they have that only claims the U.S. We'll put it that way. I was there in person. Man, this fight was fun to watch, and the crowd was going wild for Stamp, and they showed Alyse some support too. Granted, not nearly as much support as they showed Stamp, but it was a fun fight. So let's get into it. So first round, Anderson was putting out a lot of feints, but honestly, Stamp, too experienced of a striker, she wasn't really biting on the feints. It was a nice 1-2 from Stamp. She came forward. Anderson said, oh, nope, push you to the fence. And then Alyse went for a head-arm throw, but she didn't have it tight enough, and it was sloppy. So Stamp rolled with it and ended up on top inside control. Alyse, though, she's very limber, has those long legs, threw up an inverted triangle, held it for a little bit, but Stamp got out of it. I think Alyse eventually just gave up on it. And the ref stood Alyse up. There's a brief clinch there, some 1-2s by Alyse. Then she landed a really nice spinning back fist, and that Stamp was doing a pretty good job of countering, and Alyse went for another takedown that was stuffed. And just as the round wore down, you could tell that, Stamp had Alyse's timing pretty well pat, figured out. And she had bloodied Alyse's nose. So good first round. So it was really showing, what the fight was going to offer. Second round, Alyse caught a kick from Stamp, tried to use it for a takedown, and Stamp just immediately jumped on her back. Alyse tried to come forward and grab the leg, and Stamp just real quick just jumped right onto her back. Alyse stayed standing, kind of just pushed Stamp against the fence, basically put all the weight of Stamp against the fence so that she wasn't holding on, weighing down herself as much. Stamp eventually hopped off. Alyse landed a nice 1-2. And that was, I think, her coaches in between the rounds told her, keep working that 1-2. Because when she was doing that, it was working. Wild Stamp uppercut missed. Alyse caught another kick and clinched to the fence. Stamp started landing some knees. Then she broke the clinch and bam! Fired! A lightning fast kick to the body. Anderson goes down. Stamp hops on to land a punch, but the referee was already intervening, saving Alyse. Just lightning fast reflexes from Stamp. It was that fast. She landed some knees in the clinch, broke the clinch, and there was the kick to the body, and Alyse just fell straight down. So your winner, Stamp, via KO due to a liver kick, 2:27 of the second round. Man, when I tell you it was a lightning fast finish, it was lightning fast. No sooner had Stamp separated and knew she had the range, she threw up that kick to the body. And, keeping on that, those reflexes, those highly tuned reflexes of Stamp, that's honestly what sets her apart from, I think, every other fighter in one championship. Those are reflexes, particularly in the striking. Those are reflexes honed from a lifetime of doing combat sports. When you start doing something at 5 years old and you keep doing it, and then you're 20 years later, you're 25, that's how you get those lightning fast reflexes. And you know what? They work out for her in grappling too. I think that's part of how she has gotten good at her grappling so fast, that she's able to just, fighter grabs one of her kicks, tries to convert into a takedown, she just immediately hops onto the back. Those are just phenomenal instincts. Like, that's not something that you just pick up. Like I said, those instincts come from a lifetime of, just daily practice, fighting. It's not something you just pick up in a few years. Like, Alyse Anderson has been fighting for a while now. She's 28 years old, but she only has like 8 pro fights. Or, well, this was her 9th pro fight. Alyse isn't like a fighter. She's good, but like, you compare their reflexes. Stamps are honed from just literally 20 years of fighting. And I'll be honest, Anderson did better than I thought she would standing. Like, when she was throwing her punches thoughtfully and not just like trying to get too close in on Stamp, she was doing good. Also, I think, Stamp does better when she's moving forward, whereas Anderson was forcing her to counter. But without getting the Stamp to the ground, the finish was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of time before Stamp was able to finish her standing. But, like I said, Anderson did better than I thought she would standing. Like, I thought Anderson was going to absolutely need to get the fight to the ground, but she was doing all right. I wouldn't say she was winning, but she was doing pretty good. Watching from like 100 feet away from the cage, it looked a lot better than what it does, watching it on video. Talk about Anderson, man, she was hurt bad from that kick. She was down for a while. Like, it felt like she was down there for, I don't know, almost 5 minutes. Like, she eventually got up for the fight result, but she was down there for a while. You take a good, clean shot to the liver like that, she probably peed blood the next day. So, the winner of this fight was promised an interim title shot ahead of time. That's what Chatri said at the press conference on Wednesday. Fights were Friday. He said, the winner of this fight gets to fight for an interim title. So now Stamp has a shot at that interim title. And look, let's give it up for Stamp. She is on her way to superstardom. Is she a star in the making already? Yes. Like, One Championship fans know her. Like, the real hardcore MMA fans know her. But I think with a fight like this, debuting in the U.S., she is well on her way to superstardom. She has things a lot of people like, the dancing. It doesn't appeal to me because I've seen better dancing from better looking women, but people like it. People were going nuts during the Stamp dance, and man, there was a lot of simping going on in the audience. I don't like to use that word simping, but when people are literally shouting out, "I love you, Stamp," in the audience, like unashamedly, it's like, yeah, she definitely appeals to a lot of people. So she's on her way to superstardom. Let's talk about things to work on for Stamp. That's a good question. She wasn't flawless in this bout, but she was never at a point where she was like in real trouble. I think she allowed Anderson to pressure her a little bit too much, which takes her out of her element. She's much better as an aggression fighter than a counter fighter. But that's about it. For Anderson, she needs to work on her takedowns. Also, setups for the takedowns. Like, had she, used the 1-2 to set up the takedowns better, she might have been able to land them better, but she just wasn't setting her takedowns up properly. Now, for fights to make, for Anderson, this one I pulled out of from nowhere. Lin Ha-Chin. Battle of the two taller, longer, rangier fighters in that division. Of course, it's another striker versus grappler battle, but I think it'd be a fun one. For Stamp, well, hers is basically already set. She's going to get an interim Atomweight title shot, and Chatri already told Ham that after she beat Itsuki, interim title shot next. So it's going to be Stamp versus Ham. That's the only fight to make, really, for that interim title. Anything else is BS. So let's see that one. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the bout. Alyse, Stamp beating Alyse Anderson via KO in the second round. Phenomenal finish. Great fight overall. And great way for One Championship's women's divisions to introduce themselves to the U.S. Let me know your thoughts on the fight in the comments down below. If you liked the vid, please hit that thumbs up button. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the best, most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.